Hi, you entrepreneurs. Today we have a fun one. We have Mike Ortiz with Mavrik Agency. They are an advertising firm. So if you're looking to get into the advertising business, you're looking to grow your business and get it out to the masses, take a listen. He'll walk you through some of the big mistakes that most entrepreneurs make, tell you what got him in the business, some of the struggles that he's overcome. It's a great one. Love to hear your feedback. Please share. Take a listen.
Welcome to the road to growth, success of an entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with real estate agent Vinny SD.
Mike Ortiz, we have you in studio today. He is the marketing expert, videographer, and just marketing expert in general.
Right on. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little about your company.
Right on. Ultimately, our goal at the heart of who we are is taking and up-leveling whoever we run into. But we've attracted those people who we love to work with, which are the coaches, the experts, the online entrepreneur, those guys who are just going after it, have a vision, but it's so huge that they need the clarity. They need to start from a solid foundation. And that's how this started, was video marketing. Yeah. Right.
That's how we met.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's how we connected.
Year and a half, 2 years. I don't know. Wow. Yeah.
So guys like you that have a vision, right? I want to use these tools, these current online tools, to draw up their business, grow their business. And we truly start from foundations. Don't just jump into it. We ask them, like, what is the reason? What's the why? What are your intentions so that they can meet their goals?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So tell me a little about, or tell the listeners a little about yourself.
Right on. So I want to say, I grew up in a rough household. It was kind of a nightmare situation, and I would just disappear. My brothers weren't born yet. I had two younger brothers, 6 and 8 years apart from me. So at 5 years old, I'm hiding in closets, right, and kind of like, yeah, dramatic. And I don't want to go somber and negative, but honestly, that pushed me to go take and whatever I could find to kind of avoid the situation that was going on, the drama, right? But that buried me into electronics. I'd grab the radio, the stereo, and turn it into this event thing in my bathroom or wherever I could disappear to, take it apart, check out how it was made, get all into what the back end would look like, and then put it back together and play with it and explore, right? Yeah. And then my world became that, a little mini kind of news center TV show recording as using dual stereo and just having fun while trying to avoid the craziness, right? So that's how this began, was the beginning of that, the whole push into what I do now was stemmed from that way back when. So
you expanded from breaking apart or pulling apart technology,
right?
And now you break apart people's businesses to build them back up, in essence, right?
True. Yes, exactly right.
So these days, not just a videographer, you're a marketing kind of expert in essence.
True. And it's funny how people put you in that box. Yeah. They've seen your video, because we use that a lot. Yeah. Video marketing it's a big deal. And we were ahead of the crowd. A lot of people weren't catching up fire, going, oh, well, video's good, but what about this? What about that? I'm kind of already using this type of direct marketing, right? So, for example, a lot of people saying that. Well, then we had to just kind of wait for people to kind of catch up and realize how important it is. Yeah. You are already ahead of it. You already I know I need to use this. Yeah. How do we use it? Yeah. What do we do? And that was epic to run into you and connect. But it made sense. You know, there's so much happening on the outskirts, especially now, that can be confusing. We're well, there's so many options. Yeah. Do I use social? Do I use this? Do I use that? How do I grow my business and be relevant?
Yeah, no, well, and so how did that work? So it seems like it'd be fairly tough if you're pigeonholed into this idea that you're only doing videos, and now you're trying to teach people, train people, train your clients to say, hey, we do more than that. We dissect basically what your clients, who you're looking to go after, and we'll do this, X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth.
Right. Yes, it's true. There is that. The scenario comes to us a lot, what they've tried to do already, and it's not working. They're frustrated. One of our most recent clients said, hey, we went this route and tried to do it all on our own. We're we have internal teams, did a website, did social, all that, and it just looks horrible. We're not happy.
Yeah.
We're not getting the traction we were hoping for. And then through word of mouth, right, or through online means, they've found us, and that's what we're seeing. They come to us going, please help us.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do we rebuild what we've started?
Yeah.
We want to be successful. They have a great vision, usually a great heart. And I'm like, let's just come alongside you and change what you've got from foundation. Start over, almost.
Oh wow, that has to be very tough. Like telling someone they've built this baby, this thing,
That's true.
and you're saying, hey, it's not right.
No.
We need to change it. Like,
Yeah.
How does that conversation usually go?
Yeah, they have that sensitivity, and we want to be sensitive to that as well. Of it's their baby, like you said, and if the minute you start poking at their baby, they're like, hey, hands off, get a little sensitive. But here's the thing, and even on the way here, I was like, how can I make that make sense? And it was that whole, if you show up to a gathering, you're not wearing PJs, right? Your PJs among those professionals, you're dressed to the nines, doing your the best to show up among them and want to connect with them on their level. So it's that same context of just sharing with them. We're going to look at what you've got, and you said it yourself. It's just not there. It's missing. It's lacking. Yeah. Right. What do we need to do to change that? And so we start from foundations and ask them those questions, those hard questions, and see where their mindset's at. Because I think that's the huge difference. Once they get that, after discussion, we break it down with them. We don't push it. We just present and share what's working, what's relevant, what's happening now. And then we narrow that down to the fine-tune what really makes sense for the right tools to meet their long-term goal, the ultimate goal. And it could be different. That's the thing. Some of them have the goal to go big and crush it and make a bunch of money. Some guys just want to change the world, which we love working with them. Some of them are like, hey, I got a vision. Like this one pastor, he came in and he was like, I want to liberate this whole sense of waterborne illness. I want to free the Liberia, the country.
Wow.
Because he's been there multiple times.
We'll go right there.
Right?
Yeah.
He's been there multiple times, had a mission to change the world in that sense. And he's had following. He's had a crew go with him. They did a documentary. He's done all kinds of stuff, build sites, tried to push the motion of this mission to go forward, and it just keeps hitting walls, right? So when he came to us, this big, gigantic vision to eradicate waterborne illness. And we're like, wow, that's heavy. It's big and it's awesome. But how narrow is your view, or how broad is your view? Is it super huge? And that vision itself, because he wants to get everybody involved, it was huge. He's looking at worldwide. I want to get everybody in on this. So we had to help him narrow that view to just a few people. Who are those core people that he really aligns with? Who would align themselves with him and go, I'm in, all in. Because then the word spread from there. And so 6 months later, he's surpassed his goals. After we rebranded, restructured, started from scratch, right? And kind of finagled his baby, right? And at the end of the day, he actually walked away going, I couldn't believe it. That's exactly what I was hoping for. You guys nailed it. And his dreams of helping save lives has been accomplished. He's over half of the country has been changed by these wells that they put in, filter systems. Obviously, it has to do with water. And he's already seen that number go past what his goals were. And
it definitely sounds like you're telling a lot of stories of positive. I know there had to be some sort of struggles. I know in my line of business, there's definitely been some struggles that I learned, when we first got going. What were some of the struggles that you've had to overcome or see and work with?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And there always is a struggle. To be honest with you, Sophia and I, my wife, she's my lead designer, right? And we've got other team members, but it was only the core, us at the core of that. So, and a lot of it we felt was on our shoulders, and we needed to do everything and oversee everything and have our hands on everything. And that was one of the big no-nos from the beginning. I should have learned the hard way. And it became this thing where when we initially launched as the videographer, video marketer company, the goals and direction and the strategies and even the tactics, the small steps to get to where we wanted to be were way off. We didn't really even have a plan. We just launched and said, let's use these tools. We know they can be used. And so, it just failed from the beginning. All the money we initially put into our first launch just went nowhere. Right? So that was our first like big struggle. Like, how do we overcome that? Right.
Leverage, right? Like that.
Exactly.
It's, I think your eyes become open. You start learning when you realize you don't know everything. You can't be good at everything.
True.
I mean, you have to be able to understand that you have to find the right people to put into place that you can trust.
Yes. And there was that shift, that initial shift of like, do we pull up our bootstraps and do this again? Or do we just say, forget it and go back to our 9-to-5s and get other jobs? Because I was working 4 jobs, one here downtown, in San Diego, a couple up north. I was in North County, and it was just like draining myself.
Wow. So 4 jobs, including the company that you're starting?
The company, yeah.
Wow.
And at the same time, again, full circle, at that time we came back from Sweden. So we'd gone to Sweden originally. My wife's half Swedish. We come back from there, and the reason being was because my mom's health was really bad. Wow. Battling cancer for almost 7 years. Yeah. And she says, I don't know how much longer I have to live. We were in London at the time, and we come back and said, well, that's it. We're packing it up. We'll be back. We're coming here to be with you. And as I'm there in this situation with her, and it was down here in North Park, it was that crucial moment. It got serious. And so I said, I'm putting everything aside, doing my whatever jobs I can, and help her focus on what she's needing and whatever, appointments she needed to be taken to, or whatever it was, help her clean her house. It was just, she had a big house, and I'm like, Mom, you can't do this on your own. Yeah. That was one of the things she noticed too. So, at that moment, it was kind of like that wake up call that she even, when we'd have a deep conversation, it really meant more. Her words had more value. And so I was paying attention, and she truly sat me down and said, you got to stop. You got to stop. I did all of what you're doing right now. She started a company in the hair business, doing salon, opened up a salon and ran teams and did hair and nails and all that stuff. And she was like, but you're also doing everything else along with it. You're doing the marketing, you're doing the networking, you're going to all over the place to make it happen. Yeah. She said, don't do that. She's like, I know you want to start your business, but it's like all you're doing is focusing on thousands of things instead of just one thing at a time. Yeah. Narrow your sights. Yeah. And that's the first thing I ever heard from her, as well as go full time. Yeah. Stop working all those other things.
That's a huge jump right there.
It was. Yeah. It was a big challenge, but I thought about it. I'm like, in actuality, if I did put all this time into and effort into that one thing, I'd probably get better results.
Did you have money saved up to make the jump?
Yeah, so like I said, we'd been working. I'd already been working in Sweden for some production companies and doing film, helping guys do better their audio systems, working with live events, right? And then when I came back, I started working with local churches. They were needing like a whole revamp. They knew I'd just come from that situation of making live events look and sound epic. Yeah. So the idea was to revamp them, still will do my productions on the side, and then I'm parking cars and a couple other things just to make ends meet, but I'm saving as much as I can. Then we had the opportunity. My mom says, I want to invest in you. She's like, I'm not going to be here much longer. Tough words, but she said that I want to help you. And I thought, wow, that would be huge. And at that moment, that's when we said, Sophia and I said, let's do this full time. If we have her support, we've got other people saying, do this. We had a few other friends who were saying the same thing, that we wanted to be our first real clients. I said, Lynn, let's go.
It sounds like, because most people go away from fear, then go towards pleasure. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I would think the fear of letting down your mom, because she's investing you that much money into you, would be a huge driving force.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I was doubting myself a lot, and I'm like, I can't let her down. And then when we saw the business, like I said, just almost fail right from the beginning. Yeah. I'm like, I can't believe we let this happen. Yeah. My brain was almost on overload. And that was another shift into new territory. That made me go, okay, do we pull up our bootstraps and do this? Or do we just quit and give up, go back to the other jobs we had? So video marketing, we did full time. We put all our energy in it. And we also started changing the strategy, changing the tactics, and also making it evident that we're not just a video company. We're focusing on brand. We're focusing on those, what matters most, the core of the founders that we're working with. What are their goals? How do they want to reach those goals, and really make a sense for the trail to that? So how they accomplish them. It wasn't just random mode of create a video, go hope it works out. Yeah. You know, that kind of a thing. So huge shift.
Yeah, that's definitely big. So do you have your vision set in place then? Because you go over a lot of teams, a lot of companies that you're helping them create their vision.
Right.
What's your guys' vision?
It's a good question. You know, we shifted. So I want to say, we shifted that whole thought process, the mindset from, wait a minute, instead of just shooting blanks, or even if it was a loaded gun and we're just shooting, we're not aiming at the target, right? And so when we finally fine-tuned that, and thankfully some mentors, we found mentors who are being really successful, right? Kind of pass down some wisdom, down nuggets. And it's never, we never shoot that down. We never just kind of shove it aside and say, thanks, we'll do it our own way. Yeah. It was more like, well, if they're already doing it awesome, and they're making great profit, they're successful, they've got name to be spread around. It was just like, either we use that as wisdom, you know, and let that be part of us and help and adjust and go from there, or we just, you know, say just shut it all down. We're not going to go any further at all, right? So, and a friend of mine, I remember saying when he was a kid, his father ran businesses, restaurant, and they both, you know, he had always been telling him since childhood, you're going to be taking over this business one day. And so I want you to learn from all your mistakes, right? That's great, because his son was that type of person. He's just like, I kept watching him, and as he grew in maturity, he was like, oh, I'm ready to take this on. And then when he'd put him in check, it would be that moment of like, I've learned from my mistakes, Dad, let's do this. But then his dad said, that's great, but what about this? Why not take all those things that others' mistakes and learn from them as well? You know, it wasn't just like, what I do wrong, I need to fix that. It was like, let other people's mistakes be that wisdom to you, right? And then that's like a whole other level. And it changed everything for him. So when he said that to me, and he was already running, you know, 4 restaurants for it with his dad, I was like, that's it. I need to take part of that. So that's where those mentors came into place. And I'm like, let's put this in action, right? Like you said today, just not just sitting on it, but doing and taking action on it, right?
Once you can't run before you can crawl. Before you know, it's just how it is. If you could look back at everything you've picked up since you've been in the business, right? Or talk to maybe your younger self, or talk to someone else that's looking to get into marketing. I know I keep on saying a videographer, but a marketing expert, right? What kind of advice would you give yourself to give that person?
That's great. I would say from the beginning, surround yourself with good people, you know, because that's what helped us ultimately grow to what we are today, is finding those people that make sense in those in the wheelhouse that would only spread you thin, right? And let those guys do what they do excellently alongside you. You can always grow from there as far as taking note on what they do, giving you insight on maybe things you don't know, right? And you don't know it until you do. You run into that situation. So that would be a big one. So partner up with great people, number one. Really see where your mind is from a mindset's perspective from the start too as well. So I don't know if that resonates, but truly seeing before you launch anything, before you take off and start doing any business, or as an entrepreneur, I love the idea of even trying to start something, and if it fails, fine, you move on, you grow from that. But don't just start it without intent, without purpose, without kind of drawing out plans from the goal down to the strategy and the tactics, and really knowing that to reach your goal.
No, it's smart. Well, going back to the first one, the idea of surrounding yourself by good people, something that kind of shifted my mind a while back was one of my friends told me this, and he's like, there is a certain amount of good talent out there, right? It's not like everyone has great talent. Like there's some people that are, either have the drive or have the education or whatever it might be. And when you find someone that you feel has great talent, it doesn't matter if whoever they are, but when you find someone that has great talent, you have to look them in the eye and go, I want you to know, one day either I'm working for you or you're working for me.
Right.
And that's how you have to look at everyone you meet. And I was like, wow, that's just a wild way of looking at it. But that's like you're talking about with a mentor, you just never know who you're meeting and what kind of advice, because they might have learned something that you're not going to have the opportunity to learn. Right. Or maybe you might have the opportunity to learn, but it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yes, absolutely. And we've seen that come to us multiple times, even what we do now in trying to be relevant, right? Bringing and up-leveling from their website to their photography for whatever realm they're in the brand sense, because it's effective. And especially now with Google, currently, their brain and the AI systems, the more that they go that direction of reality, right? It's going to be, how authentic are you? Do you have brand presence? Do you bring that ultimate experience, not just text word heavy, keyword loaded, all the other methods that are working, quote unquote, to rank on Google or any other social, do well on social. How real are you, right? And that's something that's going to be, I think, excellent for the honest business person who wants to be successful. So, and that's another reason I was going to tap on consistency. Yeah, that's huge right now. It's just being consistent, putting your first, one foot in front of the other, being honest and real, and then also too taking that whole concept of what you're doing to impact the community with the best set of skills that you have, right? Not focusing and spreading yourself out, like you said, and putting your energy in some other places where only going to drain you, right? And you end up tired, worked, almost burnt out to the nines, and just finishing up like you don't want to be. You don't want to have that feeling. You want to be successful, free, build up your team around you, and have that ability to kind of step into it with pride, feel fulfilled, that kind of thing. It's just such a difference, big difference.
So where do you see Mavrik being in the near future? What's the focal point?
Right on. I appreciate that. Yeah. So Mavrik, we're online right now, just sharing as an agency that we are a full service agency, that we can get it done right and get it done right. But again, our mindset, I think that's where everything starts for us as well, is always be learning, right? And at the same time, as we're encouraging others, focus on that mindset, we want to make and turn that into something that's going to be a benefit for those that go and they don't have the resources, right? We want to be a place that people can go to, draw from us, draw the resources freely, and have the ability to go from scratch, this idea, a vision, whatever, and then grow that from nothing, basically. So we're building out a couple different websites as well, not just our main agency site, right? But we're also doing something for those newbies that are like, hey, I don't have a budget, I don't know where to get started, and help them from ground level.
What's one of the big things you see, talk about newbies,
right,
that getting the business that they do wrong? Is, I know the vision we've kind of talked about. Is there something else that you think that's like one of the big things that you see people that do wrong in advertising?
Yeah, that's a really good question. A lot of people have put so much energy kind of copying, we see a lot of it fail because they've copied other people, and maybe they copied the best of their industry, and they're going like, well, they're doing really well at this and they're doing that, so I'm going to do the same.
Well, the funny thing is in a lot of industries, sometimes you don't even know how good they're doing,
right?
Because with social media, it can be a liar sometimes.
Truly.
So you see that think they're doing great, when the reality is they're not doing as great as you are, and you're copying someone that might not be doing great,
right?
And now you're just
down
the rabbit hole. So
absolutely. So we want to say right from the beginning, don't be that same old, right? Because we've seen guys going from nothing to going to school. Personal injury attorney, a friend of ours, he's an epic guy with a solid heart that really wants to help in that personal injury space. And he went to school, got his license, and he came over to California from Florida, right? He steps into this California, whole different piece of territory, And so he gets mentors, starts working with a team of other attorneys, gleaning from them, gleaning from their wisdom, right, which was smart. Then at one point he says, I'm ready to branch out, but I've already got something set up online. I've already got a presence, and it's just failing because it looks like everyone else. I'm taking from these guys who are doing well, high end, working with big clients, big numbers, have a team. And so I'm trying to do what they're doing. Yeah. But I'm realizing all I'm going to end up doing is blending in. Yeah. You know, I want to be unique. I want to be me and offer my services and what I know I'm good at. And he's excellent at truly reaching into the person's heart, helping heal those things without being abrasive, right? Take care of the paperwork and all that stuff that every other attorney does. But the unique that sets us apart, the unique thing, is how well he can connect.
Yeah, dive deeper.
Yes.
Well, if people are listening out there and they're looking to get a consultation, or maybe they're looking to get into your field too, I know you're pretty open to at least talking to people.
Right on.
What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate that. So probably via email. Okay. So mike@mavrikagency.com. Okay. And it's a little bit of a twist on the Mavrik. So it's Mavrik, little Swedish twist, right? That, and also we have our websites are great resources, so they can always go there. Obviously, we are on social. We're on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, and you'll see those at Activate Mavericks.
And one of the first things that they'll probably tell you about, if you're on MySpace, you might want to jump to Facebook. All right. Thanks, Mike, for all the great insight. Tell us about your story. Right on. And I definitely wish you guys the best, and keep trucking.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to The Road to Growth, Success of an Entrepreneur. Please like, subscribe, and stay connected. Visit www.vinnySD.com.
Yeah, I created a website.
Hope to see you again next week. Team Vinny SD, signing off.